The next day, Ramon couldn't stop thinking about his conversation with Selena. He spent the entire morning making baskets at his small workshop, but his mind was elsewhere. He felt a little torn. He liked Selena. She was kind and beautiful, but he knew that her dreams didn't align with his own. He could see that she wanted wealth, and he wanted peace. Later that afternoon, he went for a walk to clear his mind. As he passed by the farm where Elena and Selena lived, he saw Elena sitting on a bench outside the house, mending some clothes. He decided to stop and talk to her. "Good afternoon, Elena," he greeted her. She looked up and smiled warmly. "Hello, Ramon. How are you today?" "I've been better," he said, sitting down beside her. "I had a conversation with Selena, and it's left me feeling confused." Elena raised an eyebrow, curious. "What did she say?" Ramon explained everything. How Selena had asked him to move to the city with her and build a store. How she had talked about riches and luxury. He told Elena how he felt torn between his own simple life and the possibility of something bigger with Selena. Elena listened carefully, her expression thoughtful. When he finished, she smiled gently. "You know, Ramon," she said, "Selena is a good person. She just doesn't understand yet that wealth isn't everything. She thinks that having a lot of money will make her happy, but it's not true. True happiness comes from being content with what you have and from loving the people around you." Ramon nodded slowly, understanding what she meant. "I hope she learns that," he said softly. "I want to be there for her, but I can't change her dreams." Elena patted his hand gently. "You can't change her, but you can be the example she needs. If you stay true to who you are, she'll see that eventually. Just keep living with honesty and kindness, and trust that she'll understand in time." Ramon smiled at her words. He felt a little lighter, knowing that Elena understood. He wasn't alone in his values. And maybe, just maybe, Selena would learn what truly mattered. The sun was starting to set one cool evening when the village heard the sound of a cart coming down the dusty road. It was a rare sound. The village was small, and most people stayed within the village's boundaries. But this cart was different. It wasn't from one of the regular villagers. It belonged to Berenice, a widow who had lived in the village many years ago. Berenice had been a beautiful woman in her youth, and even now, in her later years, she still carried herself with an elegance that caught the attention of everyone she met. Though her age showed in the gentle lines on her face, she held herself with a grace that made her as admired as ever. She had traveled and seen many places, and her stories and wisdom were treasured by those who spoke with her. She arrived in the village one evening, her cart filled with supplies from the city. As she entered the market square, she noticed the familiar faces of the villagers, and her eyes fell on Ramon's stall. He was organizing his baskets as usual, his smile bright and welcoming to each of his customers. Berenice stood quietly for a moment, watching him. She had heard about the young merchant who had a reputation for honesty and hard work. She admired his dedication and the way he treated others with such kindness. She knew she had to meet him. As she approached his stall, she greeted him with a soft smile, her voice calm and confident. "Good evening, young man. I've heard much about you." Ramon looked up, surprised but pleased to see her. "Good evening, Berenice. It's a pleasure to meet you. I've heard of you as well. The stories of your travels are well known." Berenice smiled warmly, her eyes glinting with wisdom. "Ah, yes. I've been around a bit, but I've always thought there is something special about this village. Its simplicity, its honesty. It's hard to find that in many places." Ramon nodded in agreement. "It's a place of peace for sure, and it's nice to meet someone who appreciates it as much as I do. I think there's a lot of potential here," Berenice said, her tone becoming more serious. "I've been thinking a lot about business, and I believe you and I could make something good together. What do you think about partnering with me? We could open a store in the city, sell your handmade goods, and make a great deal of money. We would both benefit." Ramon was taken aback for a moment. He had never considered leaving the village. He loved his simple life, the quiet routine of making his goods and selling them in the village market. But Berenice's idea of expanding to the city was tempting. It was a chance to make more money and secure a better future. Still, something in him hesitated. "I don't know," Ramon said slowly. "I value the life I have here. I like the simplicity of it. I'm not sure if I want to leave all of this behind for the noise and rush of the city." Berenice smiled softly, understanding his hesitation. "I see your point, Ramon, but sometimes a little change can bring great opportunities. I believe we could make a good team." Ramon didn't respond immediately. He couldn't deny that Berenice's proposal was tempting, but the idea of leaving the peaceful village life was hard to accept. He knew deep down that his heart was in the life he had, but he was also aware of the possibilities that lay outside the village. Days passed after Berenice's proposal, and Ramon couldn't shake the thoughts swirling in his mind. On one hand, he loved the simplicity of his life in the village. He felt content with his small stall, his regular customers, and the peaceful days. But on the other hand, the thought of a larger life with more opportunities tempted him. Berenice had told him she trusted his honesty and work ethic, but she wanted to be sure he could handle the responsibility of running a bigger business. So, she gave him a test. One morning, Berenice called him over to her home. "Ramon," she said, "I have a task for you. It's important, and it will show me if you're ready to handle the business side of things." Ramon, eager to prove himself, agreed immediately. "What do you need me to do?" Berenice smiled. "I need you to take this chest to the city. It's filled with some important items for a client. I trust you to take care of it and bring it safely to the city. I'll pay you well for your efforts. But remember, this is not just about the task. It's about your character. Do you understand?" Ramon nodded. "I understand. I won't disappoint you." Berenice handed him the chest, which was large and heavy, and it was wrapped with rope to keep it secure. It was a long journey to the city, but Ramon didn't mind. He was determined to complete the task with honesty and care. As he walked along the road, the weight of the chest was a reminder of the responsibility he had taken on. The journey wasn't easy. There were hills to climb, rivers to cross, and the sun was hot. Along the way, Ramon came across a small village where he stopped to rest. As he sat down for a break, a thought crossed his mind. The chest was valuable, and no one would know if it went missing. He could take it for himself, disappear with the money Berenice had promised, and no one would be the wiser. It was an easy temptation. For a moment, Ramon felt his heart race with the thought. But then he remembered his mother's words, the lessons she had taught him about honesty and integrity. He thought about the people in the village who trusted him and the peaceful life he had built. Taking the chest would destroy everything he had worked for. With a deep breath, Ramon stood up and tightened the ropes around the chest. He couldn't betray his values for something as fleeting as gold. He continued his journey to the city, determined to return the chest and fulfill his duty. When Ramon finally arrived at the city, he delivered the chest safely to the client and received his payment from Berenice. When he returned to the village, he told Berenice about the journey, leaving out the temptation he had faced along the way. Berenice smiled when she saw his honesty. "You've passed the test, Ramon," she said. "Your integrity is more valuable than gold. I'm proud of you." Ramon felt a sense of relief wash over him. He knew he had done the right thing. Though he appreciated Berenice's offer, he realized that his happiness didn't lie in the city or in wealth. It lay in the simple, honest life he had built. Back in the village, Selena had been watching Ramon more closely. She had noticed how he had worked hard and with integrity, even when given the chance to change his life for the better. She had been so focused on the idea of wealth and luxury, but now she was starting to see something different in Ramon. One afternoon, as she walked through the market, she saw him helping an elderly woman carry her basket to the village square. His kindness and honesty stood out to her in a way she hadn't noticed before. She had been so blinded by her own dreams of wealth that she hadn't understood the true value of what Ramon had to offer. Later that evening, Selena found herself at the edge of the village, standing near the river, where she often went to think. She saw Ramon walking along the path, and this time she didn't pretend to be interested in his goods. Instead, she stopped him. "Ramon," she said softly, her voice sincere, "I've been thinking a lot about everything. About you, about me, about the way we've been living our lives." Ramon turned to her, surprised, but willing to listen. "What's on your mind?" "I've realized something," she continued. "I've been chasing the wrong dreams. I thought that wealth and luxury would bring me happiness, but I see now that they don't. I see that what you have is more valuable than anything money can buy." Ramon smiled gently. "I'm glad you understand. True happiness comes from honesty, love, and hard work, not from gold or fancy things." "I want to learn from you," Selena said, her eyes shining with newfound understanding. "I want to learn how to live with the same values you have. I want to find happiness in the simple things." Ramon looked at her with kindness. "It's not an easy journey, but I'm happy to help. We all have to find our own path." And so, Selena began to change. She spent time with Ramon, learning the lessons he had learned from his family. Slowly but surely, she understood that the most precious things in life weren't found in money or wealth. They were found in honesty, kindness, and the relationships you build. As time passed, Selena's life began to change. She no longer dreamed of wealth and luxury. Instead, she focused on building meaningful relationships with the people around her. She worked hard, helping others, and taking joy in the small things in life. Ramon continued his work as a merchant, and although he never became rich in gold, he was rich in the love and respect of the people around him. The village continued to thrive, and the villagers helped each other in ways big and small. In the end, Ramon and Selena's friendship grew stronger. They both understood now that true happiness came from living a life of integrity, love, and kindness, not from wealth or material things. And so, the village remained a peaceful place where everyone supported one another and lived honest, simple lives. It was a place where dreams came true, not because of riches, but because of the love and respect people had for each other.